What's up, Acolyte Squad? My name is Prince and I'm an urban acolyte. This video, we're going to talk about the Mandalorian and the sequel saga. Specifically, we're going to be reacting to this article, The Mandalorian Proves that the Star Wars movies made a pretty big mistake in 2015. I've been hitting y'all with a couple of off the dome topics that were kind of original, but the views hadn't been doing too well on those videos. One of them I posted at midnight you guys time, so maybe a lot of people just didn't see it and the views will start to trickle in today while I'm asleep because it's almost midnight over here. But we're going to go back to reacting to articles really around the Mandalorian for now, because that's what a lot of the other people who are watching these videos seem to be tuning in for. So let's dive into this. I'm going to read it and give my thoughts after I've read the full thing. And I haven't looked at this beforehand. Oops, there we go. All right, that's the right window. All right, so The Mandalorian proves the Star Wars movies made a pretty big mistake in 2015. Should have been Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni from day one. This was my controversial hot take while watching the most recent episode of Disney Plus's The Mandalorian, specifics of which I will leave out in case you landed here having not seen the episode. We've probably already discussed that episode. But with each passing episode of the second season of The Mandalorian, building off of the foundation that was laid in season 1 of the episodic program, convinces me that Lucasfilm made a mistake handing the baton to J.J. Abrams for the relaunch of the Star Wars movie franchise. It should have been Favreau and Filoni. Star Wars films as a franchise would be in a much more stable place. This is not meant as a complete and total slam at J.J. Abrams or even at Rian Johnson. Both made wonderful, different, exciting, provocative, and successful Star Wars films in their own right. It's unusual that there seem to be two camps with regards to the sequel trilogy of Star Wars films, and the people who liked Abrams' work don't like Johnson's and vice versa. But the two, by all reports, didn't collaborate and were left by Lucasfilm to create the Star Wars movie they wanted to make, with no regard for an overarching story. By the time we as a collective audience reached the rise of Skywalker, that point was made abundantly clear. Watching Star Wars The Force Awakens demonstrates that J.J. Abrams understands, appreciates, and adores the visual motif of Star Wars. The Millennium Falcon racing through a canyon to avoid TIE fighters looks cool. It is cool, but The Force Awakens gets a lot of heat, and deservedly so, for mimicking A New Hope instead of branching off and establishing any real Star Wars lore of its own. Perhaps it's because The Force Awakens was too important to fail. Lucasfilm was gambling by bringing Star Wars back to the big screen, and it needed to connect with mainstream audiences who weren't following the Clone Wars in animation. And how do you do that? You give them more of what they've already said that they love. And it worked. Until Lucasfilm and Disney needed to connect the threads of the story. They didn't. Rian Johnson broke off and contradicted a lot of what J.J. Abrams established in The Force Awakens with regards to Rey, Kylo Ren, and Luke Skywalker. Their individual ideas might have sounded cool on paper, but without a deeper commitment to big picture storytelling, these concepts were left in limbo. The Mandalorian applies the passion and understanding of Star Wars mythology to a larger story. Granted, the television show has more real estate on which to explore, getting multiple episodes of longer seasons, but the way that it is tapped into an underutilized concept from the Star Wars lore, the Mandalore culture, and used it to both discover new worlds and also please nostalgia seekers shows how deft Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are at weaving new Star Wars out of old Star Wars. Filoni has been doing this for some time, albeit in the realm of animation. Star Wars The Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels blew out historical passages of Star Wars mythology into living, breathing playgrounds for beloved characters Obi-Wan, Anakin, and new players Ahsoka Tano, Ezra Bridger. The Star Wars movies so far haven't given themselves that freedom and instead are too tied to the original trilogy. Han Solo gets a prequel. Rogue One acts as a prequel to A New Hope. Where's the originality? on Disney Plus on a weekly basis, where Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are taking their shot at expanding the world created by Star Wars, honoring it without being enslaved to it. And The Mandalorian has convinced me that these two should have been doing it much sooner and on a much bigger screen. Now, all right. I do agree with them that Dave Filoni should have been handed the keys. But I mean, you got to think about this, right? If George Lucas is Jordan, right? Dave Filoni is Kobe, right? He's the heir apparent, right? And this, y'all basketball heads, let's please not get into a discussion of LeBron James. Is he the GOAT? Is Jordan? Like, just go with the analogy, right? If you are my age and you saw Michael Jordan play, you watched everything Jordan did, right? You were a teenager in the 90s, right? I watched everything Jordan did, even the Washington Wizard years when, Kobe put up 50, 55 on Jerry Stackhouse, but Jordan was on the court when it happened, right? But everything Kobe did, like, I think for a while, Kobe even had the tongue, and then I think he might have stopped doing it, right? He turned it into, like, he had the scowl, and he'd do, weird stuff with his teeth in his mouth. But like, remember the game, when Kobe, like, went off on Phoenix, they won the Lakers won the championship that year, and Phoenix was really good. Kobe went off, I think, in the elimination game on Grant Hill, and like double teams were coming. Kobe's holding the ball and like fading away from, almost the 3-point line, right? Like that, I remember that game. I was like, hey man, Kobe was like channeling MJ, right? In the case of, to put this more in Star Wars, right? If, Dave Filoni, George Lucas is the creator, right? He's the Jedi master, and Dave Filoni is his Padawan. So naturally, Dave Filoni is anything Dave Filoni is attached to, right? It's going to feel like Star Wars. That's what a lot of people say. This feels more like Star Wars. Now, here's an issue, and I've always been critical of this, is that the sequel saga, and there's another, I know pretty much everybody is going to see this video or read this article and they're going, yep, he's right. Yep, he's exactly right. But there's also, nothing's ever fully right or fully wrong when it comes to this. Here's the thing, right? Now, I don't know what Jon Favreau was doing 2012. I know he was doing a lot of Marvel stuff, right? I don't really pay attention to what all these directors and people are doing, because I'm more looking at the story. But sometimes that behind the scenes stuff, whatever's going on, is pertinent to the story. Like, we could go back, I kind of want to make a video response to a comment about Mace Windu and Yoda. Why does Yoda get some form of redemption, but Mace Windu doesn't? And it's like, well, because there's a behind the scenes reason for that. And it's that, originally Mace Windu was the Yoda, right? When George Lucas came up with all of this, Mace Windu, that character, was the Grand Master of the Jedi. And then we get to the prequels. Who's the Grand Master of the Jedi? It's Yoda. Well, why is that? Because Yoda, they needed a puppet. They needed a substitute character, because, they weren't sure if Sir Alec Guinness was gonna be alive to complete the trilogy, right? The original saga, because he got really sick before Empire Strikes Back. And they're like, we might need a substitute or something, right? And I can't recall, but I think Obi-Wan is like barely in Empire Strikes Back, and then he's back for Return of the Jedi. I can't remember exactly. I know, Luke, you must go to the Dagobah system. You must seek Yoda, the Jedi master who trained me, right? And then, I think he talks to Yoda. Yoda's like, he's too impatient. It's just like his father. What if we train this one and he falls to the dark side too? And, Obi-Wan, are you patient with me? Right? And that sort of thing. But I don't think it's been a hot minute since I've actually sat and watched Empire Strikes Back, but I don't think Alec Guinness is in it that much. And the reason is because he got sick, and that's why we got Yoda. So when you go back and start telling the prequels, well, because of this behind the scenes decision, now you have to change the prequel story where, okay, well, we saw that Yoda's supposed to be this great Jedi warrior. Well, who was he before all of this stuff happened, right? So Mace Windu gets kind of bumped down a notch, right? And he died, and he's dead, and he's not coming back. And, and that's why Yoda gets a redemption, because we saw episodes 4, 5, and 6, the end of his story, and now they're going back and telling it in retrospect, right? So my point is, behind the scenes stuff does matter. Jon Favreau reached out to Kathleen Kennedy and was like, I have an idea for a project. And then Kathleen Kennedy, right, Jon Favreau being the creative person that he is, reached out to the business person, the producer, the person who gets the funding, who signs the checks, who makes sure other people sign checks to get that project done, right? A lot of people, like I said, some of these people, Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers, I'm not even going to sugarcoat it, or is on this, they're trying to create this Star Wars Gate thing, right? You got Comics Gate, you got Gamers Gate, and you got people, the Fandom Menace, whether they know it or not, are part of Star Wars Gate, right? And it all comes from Breitbart, right? The Steve Bannon's philosophy, right? For, getting his philosophy into pop culture. This is what Breitbart does. This is why Ben Shapiro is always talking about pop culture stuff, right? And there's identity politics all over this, right? You're talking about a movie. You're talking about Marvel Comics and stuff, right? Go woke, stay woke, go broke, or nonsense like that, right? All I'm saying is what I've been telling y'all. You go back a few years ago, anything involving Hillary Clinton, all you got to do is take those headlines, put Kathleen Kennedy in it. If you want to start covering, doing clickbait, controversial Star Wars YouTube and blow up fast, just go look at any conservative, even especially Alex Jones. Look at any title they have that has Hillary Clinton's name in it. Take that out, put Kathleen Kennedy in it. Matter of fact, watch their videos, make a script, and then just alter the script. Anytime they say Clinton, put Kathleen Kennedy and make it and change it enough so it sounds like it's about Star Wars. You will, hey man, somebody will make 6 figures doing that. I guarantee you, right? Because it worked for Breitbart, it worked for Fox News, worked for, some of these other outlets. I don't know. I honestly, I know somebody's probably watching this, from the Fandom Menace, and they're going to start, popping off in the comments, and then I'll block them, and that'll be the end of it, because I ain't got time for that negativity in my life or on my channel. But it worked for, you got people at Fox News and these other, I don't know about what the salaries are at Breitbart. I know at Fox News, the anchors are millionaires. So if they're making money, if you do it on YouTube, you'll make money too. As a matter of fact, back when 2016, when I first started the channel, I remember people used to say, Prince, you kind of clickbaited us, dog. And I would cuss people out for that, because I'm like, that's an insult. Now I'm not going to cuss you out. I'll just block you, right? Because I ain't got time. I really don't. 2021, I ain't got time for the bullshit, man. Like, I'm not playing around. I'm like I'm doing this for fun. I have my vlog that I'm really trying to pump out, where I'm really talking about stuff that really matters to me, where I'm trying to improve humanity, getting people to meditate, take care of their bodies, everything that went into creating this Urban Acolyte thing. Like, I almost feel like that other channel should be called Urban Acolyte, because everything that I want, that I intended to do when this channel started. Now I kind of feel like I have the formula to do it and make it work on YouTube, where I'll find the audience for that and make the kind of videos that'll be entertaining and educational, and try to grow that message, that community, and that message, right? And it's, doing this got me to where I can, okay, now I feel like I can go back to my roots. But here it's like, this is like a paid hobby. I get to hang out, talk Star Wars, get deep when I want to get deep, because that's just me. I'm injecting my personality and the way that I see Star Wars into Star Wars, right? And outside of that, and so it's like, if people want to come pop off and argue and this and that, it's like, yo, man, no, I'm not having it, right? It's just 2021. I ain't fucking around, man. I'm not fucking around with people that's bringing negativity to me, right? It just is the way it is. But on this topic of where this is wrong, because that's where I got on the tangent. Favreau goes to Kennedy, and that's in the midst of the sequel trilogy, right? So if these things hadn't happened, if they hadn't made those mistakes, you wouldn't get this. Not necessarily, right? Do I love everything about the sequel saga? As many of you have vocal used, not everyone, but there have been some very vocal, outspoken people who have informed me that I love everything about Star Wars. There's nothing wrong with liking Star Wars. There's nothing wrong with liking the sequel saga. I like the sequel saga. I really like The Last Jedi. I mean, I love it, right? I had somebody say, man, we've disagreed on a number of things, especially how much you love The Last Jedi. And I'm like, really? I love The Last Jedi. I was expecting Finn to come out and show us signs that he's Force sensitive, and Finn's story got sidelined. And then later I found out Rian Johnson wanted to leave Finn in a coma for the entire movie, his character, right? So when John Boyega's talking about, yo, man, they dragged me out, they put me on the posters, I'm holding the lightsaber, the media's talking about my characters, the next Luke Skywalker, right? I'm thinking it's going to be this thing where it's like, okay, in the original trilogy, there's Luke, and then there's Luke's sister who's somewhere out there. And then George Lucas's plans were, okay, in the next installment, it's going to be Luke and his sister. Well, that's not what happened. Now Luke is the Jedi Master. And so, you can go back and look at my original predictions video for The Force Awakens. Like, I was like, yo, man, I think it's going to be like a Jason and Jaina Solo situation with Kylo Ren and Rey. And I think Kylo Ren was inspired by Darth Revan, his look. And Finn is kind of this, X Factor who's like the new Jedi kid on the scene. And he's going to bring something different to that story with Jason and Jaina Solo. And boy, did we not get that at all, right? And then J.J. Abrams comes back in at the last minute, and maybe he did have plans for Finn in his first cut of the movie, right? Go back and look at the video from 2017. Why were Finn's lightsaber scenes cut from The Force Awakens, where the first version, Finn is running through and you're like, yo, man, this dude, is he a Jedi? Like, he's a stormtrooper. Why is he running through, chopping people down right and left with a lightsaber? But then he gets to the end and, and then Kylo Ren, I don't want to say wrecks him, but Rey and Finn together fight Kylo Ren to a draw. That's how the first version of The Force Awakens was supposed to go. The rescue mission on Starkiller Base, Finn is just running reckless through Starkiller Base like my Finn mod on Star Wars Battlefront 2, right? Where I'm just running through wrecking everybody in Starkiller Base with Anakin's lightsaber on Finn, right? That's how the movie was supposed to be. But then that got pulled, right? And something that I keep stressing to people who are like, "Oh man, why is John Boyega say he shut up and get your check?" And I say, look, you can't really comment on this. None of us can, because you don't know what went down behind the scenes. You don't know how scenes were shot, reshot, different versions, script changes, everything else, right? These actors show up on opening night if they haven't already seen the movie, if they haven't been watching, what's the dailies? I don't remember the term. There's like another term for that, but one of them is dailies, right? The daily, this is what we shot the day before, right? Because at one point, Rian Johnson was seeing the dailies for The Force Awakens as he's writing The Last Jedi, but then he stopped, and then we got the news and people, oh man, woe is me, Star Wars is in trouble, right? The people to report that kind of stuff, because after The Force Awakens came out, Rian Johnson was like, all right, I got to rewrite my script because people have a lot of questions from The Force Awakens, and I need to answer some of those questions. The issue between, like, there was no communication between J.J. Abrams, Rian Johnson, not Chris Terrio, but he wrote The Rise of Skywalker with J.J., but Colin Trevorrow, or however you say his name, I don't know. Like I said, I don't think I've ever seen any of his movies. Someone say, you mean you haven't seen Jurassic World? No, the last time I saw a Jurassic Park movie, I was in high school. So that would have been 1997. It might have been after it was 1997. Whatever Jurassic Park movie came out in the summer of 97 or maybe 98, somewhere around there. I'm pretty sure it was 97, because the person who went with me to see the movie, I don't think I saw them again after we left for college, right? Because I don't want to say why, and it's not important to you guys, but I'll just leave it at that. So no, I obviously have not seen Jurassic World, and after the last Jurassic Park movie I saw, I really don't care if I ever see another Jurassic Park movie again. Not going to change my life. It didn't leave a big impact on my life before, and I don't feel that I'm missing out on anything, right? So, be shocked, or actually, I don't care. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. I've said this previously. I don't know how people miss when I say stuff, being critical about, or things I didn't like about the sequel saga, and you love everything they do. I'm like, man, there's their story, there's their version, my version, and then there's like the actual version, right? Your truth, my truth, and then the real truth, right? I've long been critical about the relay race method that they use to tell this story. All right. You got the microphone, JJ, and then you're going to hand the microphone to Rian Johnson, and then Rian, you're going to hand it to Colin, right? And that's how we're going to do it. There's a huge difference in the storytelling in The Mandalorian and in the sequel saga, because The Mandalorian had a plan, right? You had a group of people sit down. This is the overall story. This is the beginning, and this is how it's going to end up, right? Giancarlo Esposito said this is going to go 4 seasons, and most of your questions are not going to get answered until season 4. Now, I'm convinced Giancarlo Esposito is probably the greatest. The Star Wars marketing department, the Lucasfilm marketing department, needs to hire him as a consultant while he's working on his other projects and movies and video games and everything else, because they didn't really do a good job on letting people know, hey man, The Mandalorian's coming in the fall. Giancarlo Esposito was talking as soon as season 1 wrapped up. January rolls around. He's like, yeah, man, Moff Gideon is, hey, man, yeah, I've been playing with that Darksaber thing a whole lot. I'm going to be using it a whole lot, in the coming seasons. And then the interview with Entertainment Tonight, right, back in the summer, is he one of the ones? Is he Vader's heir? Like, he had me so sold that I'm like, yo, man, like people are like, I don't see why you think Moff Gideon is force sensitive, Prince. I'm like, well, that's because you just watch people on YouTube that comment on stuff. Have you been paying attention to what he's saying? Now, maybe it's not true. Maybe it's not going to happen. Maybe it's just, but the dude has sold everybody on this stuff where you're like, man, I really don't know what to think. Like, he's got me so hyped up for his character. We barely seen his character in this season, and I gotta know what he's going to do next. It's like, it's the BGZ, Grogu, and Moff Gideon show, right? Who cares about Din Djarin? It's the Mandalorian. Who cares about what you're doing? I want to know. We want to see BGZ do something, and we want to see Moff Gideon, right? Those are the big complaints. The first, they were like, we just went 3 episodes without seeing Moff Gideon, right? That was what everybody was complaining about. We haven't seen Moff Gideon yet. We need to see Moff Gideon. Bring him out, bring him out. It's hard to yell when the barrel's in your mouth, right? Like Jay-Z said, for those of y'all who didn't get the reference, right? Bring him out, bring him out. We want to see Moff Gideon, right? But my point is, one, you've got Dave Filoni involved, right? When you want to talk about this feels like Star Wars, it's because it's connected to George Lucas. Dave Filoni is the heir apparent. What did I say? It was a video, I think it might have been about the High Republic or something. And I was like, I said, for any future Star Wars projects, especially movies, I feel like you need to go through Jedi boot camp. If Dave Filoni's not, I know Dave Filoni's part of the story group, but if Dave Filoni's not involved in the production, right, you got to go through Jedi boot camp the same way these writers did with the High Republic, like all those books and comic books and anything else that I'm hearing rumors there might be an animated series after all. Earlier there's animated series, there's video games, there's maybe even live action movies and books. It's supposed to be this big thing. Then we get the news and it's just books. And everybody was like, oh, well, yeah, no, never mind. We don't care anymore, except for the people who really like to read the books, right? But the way they had to go through this little Jedi boot camp, I feel like that should be mandatory, right? You can't make a movie about Star Wars and then have it, well, this is my vision and I'm going to focus on this only thing, when there's like Rian Johnson turned The Last Jedi. This is an ode to Kylo Ren. I love Kylo Ren's character so much that I'm going to do this deep character study on Kylo Ren. Oh, and then, there's this thing going on with the First Order and the Resistance. And then we got this guy, Finn, who we were going to match up with Poe Dameron and have it be like this buddy cop thing. But I don't really know what to do with the characters. And yeah, we're going to progress the characters, but I'm going to do the least amount of work because whoever comes in after me, I'll leave it up to them. I'm not putting all of that on Rian Johnson either, because J.J. Abrams is at fault too. If you have, I don't have the book anymore. Like all my Art of books are back in America. And right now I've pretty much chalked it up to all of my books. I'm never going to see them again. Like my house, my stuff is like sell as is. If one of you guys if you want to buy a house in North Nashville, you can have all my Star Wars stuff and everything else. I would like the hard drives to my computers, to my desktop computer, even though I copied one of them. It's only because I have like some important files that I forgot to copy onto my portable hard drive. So I would like really like the hard drive to my computer, but everything else I pretty much like it. It would cost more to have that stuff shipped to Thailand than it would just to replace it. Some of my books are irreplaceable because they're old. They were given to me from, the seminary library, but it's like, okay, this old dusty book about Egyptian Gnosticism, if I didn't read it already, I'm probably never going to read it. And I know Self-Elevation, you're probably like, man, bro, I would love that book. Well, you would love it. If I hadn't read it already, it's probably not going to get read. So it's like it never existed. It's like I never owned it, right? Other stuff, I've replaced so many of my books on Kindle where I can carry this easily, where, I can't carry a big bookcase full of books so easy, right? That's easy, fits in my pocket, right? So I'm mostly all about whatever my books were that I lost or left that are in digital form. I'm good with that. But my Art of the Force Awakens book, the end, if you have the book, you can check me on it. If you haven't, you've probably seen it because it's the very end of it. It has a section called Who is Luke Skywalker? And J.J. Abrams talks about, or the narrator has J.J. Abrams talking about how they sat and they brainstormed and they dealt heavily with the question of who is Luke Skywalker? Who is Luke Skywalker 30 years later? Where has he been? And you know what? J.J. Abrams had the opportunity to answer that question and set it up for the rest of for the remaining movies. He had the opportunity to answer that question. And what did he do? He left Rey handing Luke the lightsaber to Luke. Luke is there on Ahch-To. What did JJ say? Oh, well, through Han Solo, one of his students, turned to the dark side, killed the rest of his students, burned down his temple. And they said Luke just walked away and left it all behind. Some say he went in search of the first Jedi temple, right? Some say that was Lord Santeca who said that, right? Because he was helping Luke uncover the keys to finding Ahch-To, and that's how Lord Santeca came across a piece of the map, was because he was helping Luke find that. And so naturally he just continued the search, where Luke was like, oh, I found it. I'm going, and I'm not telling Lord Santeca how I got there. So he's got to find another. Well, he didn't have the Force, and he didn't have that compass to do it. So, that compass, which acted as a wayfinder, right? That, was a big part of the rise of Skywalker. But JJ had the opportunity to answer that question, and he could have set up the other two movies. He did not. He left it to Rian Johnson. He did not answer the questions about Rey's past. He left it to Rian Johnson. Now, as far as the rise of Skywalker, I was shocked that Palpatine was returning. I remember saying, I don't really believe he's back. I'm not sure I can believe it. I think Palpatine is back, but not the way, and it was the way. And now, a year later, looking back, it's like, I put it like this. I think I typed this out somewhere. Palpatine's return was set up before the Force. It was set up in Aftermath. In Chuck Wendig's Aftermath, Yuk-Tashu said some people believe that Palpatine will return. And then in the second book of Aftermath, Yuk-Tashu is like writing all these Sith incantations. It sounded like he was writing them on the wall in his shit, is what it sounded like. I don't feel like looking it up. And I was like, this dude is whacked out. And then during the Battle of Jakku, before he dies, he's like, again, like there's some kind of well of power there in Palpatine's little observatory, what people were saying, oh, it's a secret lab where they're cloning Rey. And it's crazy that Rey wasn't being cloned, but Palpatine, her father was, right, but not there on Jakku. That observatory was mapping out coordinates, hyperspace routes through the unknown regions so that he could find Exegol, right? And all of that started shortly after Palpatine became Chancellor, I believe. He went there with Yugtashu. He meets young Gallius Rax, and he begins excavating that site that becomes his observatory. And I believe there was some kind of well of power there that went down to the planet's core, and Gallius Rax pushed Yugtashu into it. But before that, Yugtashu seemed like he was trying to do some kind of dark side ritual, even though he doesn't have the Force, to resurrect Palpatine, right? So if you go back, if you have the Aftermath books, go back and look at them. And you'll start, and now, now that we know how the story turns out, it's like Palpatine's return, they were telling us Palpatine's coming back. And in the back of my mind, I was thinking it like, that's why I kept saying they need to go 6 movies. They need to go 6 movies. They have 3 dealing with the fall of Ben Solo, and then 3 more dealing with the redemption of Ben Solo. And I kept saying, there's another person out there. There's another person. I'm like, Snoke is not it. I told you guys, Kylo Ren, I thought that Kylo Ren would kill Snoke in episode 9, right? That's what I was telling. I was like, he's on the path of the tyrant. He wants to be the man. He kills Snoke, right? And then I said, he's going to turn to the Sith because he needs more power. He needs more answers. That's not enough. It's not enough. I'm heading the First Order. I thought that the First Order would lose to the Rebellion some kind of way, or the Resistance some kind of way, or they take a big loss. Like, nah. It'd be kind of the reverse of Revenge of the Sith, where Anakin falls, but the Empire doesn't happen, right? The Republic wins. There's no Empire, but Anakin still falls, right? In this case, Ben Solo, they end it, and now he's got the Sith eyes. That's how I thought it would go. If it were up to me, that's what would have happened. I would have been like, hey man, y'all got to sign on for 3 more movies, or we're going to do a time jump and we'll bring in some older actors, right? But I was like, it's got to go 6 movies. And then, the next, 10 through 12, 10, 11, 12. Oh, there's somebody else out there. That's somebody else, me kind of feeling it, but not putting all of the pieces together. Oh, that's Palpatine. Now I'm thinking Dave Filoni could have figured out a way to do that in 3 movies, and there would have been a plan going in. Or maybe Palpatine had a secret apprentice after all, right? That's his contingency plan in the event that Vader falls, and then some kind of way, even though George Lucas said Sith don't have spirits, somehow they've managed to communicate with Palpatine through the nether regions. The same way, you got with Darth Momin, right? He possessed his helmet, and then it's like, oh, you can open up a portal to the afterlife, and he can come through it and become flesh again, because Sith cling to physical immortality, not being a Force ghost and at peace with the dark side and the light and everything else, right? They want to be physically immortal. And if that means I gotta find some way to preserve my consciousness in something until somebody's dumb enough to fall for whatever my tricks are so that I can bring my body back, so be it, right? That's how I thought it would happen. That's what I was thinking when they were like, Palpatine is back. I'm thinking, oh, some kind of way Ben Solo's tapped into a Sith holocron or some possessed item or something, and Palpatine's trying to get him, right? Palpatine's trying to come back. And in a way, that is kind of what happened. Palpatine's body was wrecked. The clone host was not stable, just like you got in Legends, where he had to keep, creating these clone bodies because they would break down, because they couldn't contain his power, power in the dark side of the Force bestows abilities some would consider unnatural, right? So we kind of got that, but I felt like it was too fast. It was too rushed. There were too many things that needed to be dealt with properly, and it was just like, oh, here you go, here you go, here you go, right? Poe Dameron's character got wrecked. Like, oh, well, you know, Poe's the son of these great heroes of the rebellion. You know, his mom Shara Bay was like Top Gun, and his dad is like a Navy SEAL, you know, the Special Forces Republic shock trooper, probably, you know, hanging out with Cara Cynthia Dune of Alderaan. And Shara Bay's run, you know, flown missions with Leia and Luke Skywalker and helped him retrieve a Unity tree, which helped him locate Ahch-To, the first Jedi temple. And then it's, oh yeah, Poe Dameron was a spice runner. And then, okay, well, how do we explain that he was this great pilot, the top pilot in the New Republic, and he's squeaky clean, you know, fly boy, does nothing wrong. And then the Last Jedi is, you know, he's so devoted to Leia and the Resistance that, you know, he commits insubordination. And then, matter of fact, he's a reckless fly boy because he's so determined to take out the First Order. And it's like, wait a minute, like, Poe was reckless dealing with the New Republic, but he was totally devoted to Leia. And now you contradicted the story you set up. And then JJ continues with that. And it's like, oh yeah, well, he went through this rebellious phase, you know, after his mother died. And you know what, that does kind of make sense. But a spice runner, like, come on, bro. You know, people had issues with Poe. Is like, they fly now. Like, Finn doesn't know that the stormtroopers have jetpacks. When he was, you know, I could say, okay, he never saw that part of the First Order. And I can, you know, the First Order's so big, he wouldn't have known everything, even though he knew enough about how to infiltrate Starkiller Base. And you know what, maybe no stormtroopers had that in any of the commands where he was a cadet, right? But Poe Dameron definitely saw that, because he had to fight the stormtroopers who had jetpacks flying through, you know, space in like one of the first Poe Dameron comic books. And it's like, all right, JJ, Chris Terrio, you guys, how do you not know? There's a comic book, and that is canon. It's part of this timeline. It's part of this continuity. But you don't know that in your movie, right? Because you didn't go through Jedi boot camp, where we're looking at this through we're scrutinizing this, because some fans are going to see that and they're going to be like, wait a minute now. Now, if you don't read the comic books and you didn't know that, it's just, you know, the casuals. Okay. But hey, man, the way they're going with this Disney Plus thing, you got to assume the casuals are going to be watching this later, right? Y'all are watching me talk these long videos, and you're watching The Mandalorian. Some of y'all are staying up midnight, Pacific Standard Time when The Mandalorian goes up, you know, in you know, California time. Y'all are staying up to watch it as soon as it goes live on Disney Plus. Casual people won't be watching season 2 until it's out. Like, one of my friends is just now starting to watch season 1, and he's like, anybody posting any Mandalorian spoilers is going to get snoozed for 30 days. And I'm like, bruh, if you watched anything about Star Wars, you might as well just hide all of my, I mean, I don't post Star Wars that much on my personal Facebook account, but every now and then something might slip, or I might decide to share a video to my personal account. And I'm like, all these people, you know, my real life friends who are into Star Wars and cry about spoilers, I'm like, you know, like, you should probably like either unfriend me or hide my post, because, you know, I'm not trying to hear it, that you're upset about me posting a spoiler when it's like, well, I mean, what do you think I'm doing here? Well, yeah, I've got this YouTube channel, and yeah, I'm not going to talk about any spoilers. I'm just going to, I'm going to talk about this and pretend like I haven't seen it yet when I obviously have, right? So, you know, but like I said, there's casual people. They're not going, they're still Baby Yoda, and I wonder if Ahsoka's going to be, who is Ahsoka Tano? Who is this? I really like that Jedi girl that Rosario Dawson played. When did they make her character? Right? It's going to be people asking those questions next year when they finally get around to watching this, because you know they're casual fans. But you really got to assume that it's not the casual people. They won't care, but for now, it's not the casual fans. It's the dedicated people that are reading all the books, and they're hopping on Wikipedia. If they don't know something, they're hopping on Wikipedia looking for answers, right? Because they're going to be the ones that are the most vocal, and you know, the casual people. Oh, okay, I watched this. That's cool, right? Like I've got a friend who loves Star Wars, and he's in the Hollywood circles, right? He's you know, like he might not know who Din Djarin is and what a foundling is, but you start talking about like Lauren Mary Kim, who did the action choreography for Ahsoka Tano, right? And whoever might have done stunts been the stunt double for Bo-Katan Kryze, or actually Lateef Crowder, who's one of the stunt doubles for Pedro Pascal. He knows them, right? He knows them. He's broke bread with them, been in pictures with them. They probably been in his house. Probably, you know, said, "Hey man, I'm working on a movie. You know, you want to do some previs for it?" Like I said, he's in that circle, right? He's how I'm connected with people. I'm connected with people in Hollywood through him, right? But he's a casual fan, right? But so he's like, well, I don't know what a foundling is, but I mean, even he said that what they're doing with The Mandalorian is what they should have done with the movies. And The Mandalorian is redeeming Star Wars. The sequels were terrible, and this is the greatest thing to happen to Star Wars after Disney took over. Now, he hadn't watched the Clone Wars or Rebels or anything like that, because Rebels was awesome. And you know what? People thought it was terrible when it first started, but it took a minute to like, Dave Filoni really understands how to set up a story. People thought the Clone Wars was bad because the Clone Wars, the first season, had all these little individual episodes, and there weren't actual arcs until Cad Bane, what was that, season 2, right? Cad Bane comes in and they're kidnapping kids and stealing holocrons so they can kidnap kids, because then you start to introduce this whole idea that Palpatine, even as Chancellor, was trying to kidnap kids to be his foreseers, or his prophets of the dark side, you know, that he had in Legends. Right. So these guys really get it. But you also have to look at Lucasfilm is learning from that mistake. So yes, would the sequel saga have been better if they had, you know, had Dave Filoni, I'm not even going to say Jon Favreau, just a creative person like him, right? Like, I'm interested in seeing what Taika Waititi, I think he's got a movie now. Even Rian Johnson, as much as ruined Star Wars, right? Mark Hamill talked about Rian Johnson's trilogy that we don't know what the status of that is. And he said, right, and somebody was like, I can't believe you can't just go and use Mark Hamill's quotes when you want to. There's the difference between me using Mark Hamill. This is what Mark Hamill said. And when other people do it, is they take what Mark Hamill said out of context, right? I put it in the proper context, right? Mark Hamill was asked about Rian Johnson's trilogy during the press tours of The Last Jedi. And he said the difference between what Rian is doing with his trilogy and what they're doing with this one is Rian is going into his with a plan, right? Rian is going to be producer of the 3 movies, but he will only write and direct the first one, right? The other 2, I think he might have been writing all of it, but I'm not sure. I know he's producing the other two, and it's not much off from what George Lucas did, right? George Lucas only wrote, directed, produced A New Hope. He didn't direct Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi. Lawrence Kasdan played a part in writing Return of the Jedi. He had a team of people working on Empire Strikes Back, right? Because that was that there's all kinds of behind the scenes stuff that we know now about the whole Anakin Vader thing, right? Because at first Anakin was not Vader. There were two different people, and the decision was made to, okay, Vader is Anakin Skywalker. During then, at first it was supposed to be, Anakin's Force Ghost shows up with Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Anakin knights Luke Skywalker, right, into becoming a knight of the round table of the Jedi, right? And then Luke goes off to face Darth Vader, right? And how would that have gone, on Bespin, without the iconic, "No, Luke, I am your father," right? Obi-Wan was wrong, right? Obi-Wan didn't tell you the truth, right? I am your father, right? That's impossible. No, that's impossible, right? How that one thing right there, Star Wars could be in a completely different place. I mean, it's still, A New Hope still blew up. I won't say it would have been in a different place, but we would just think differently about it than we do now, right? The whole idea of reconciliation with the Father would have been different. And since this is a tangent, but something I've been thinking about, because everybody keeps pointing out that Luke survived his fall. Why can't Mace Windu? Mace Windu's fall was not the same thematically as Luke's fall, right? In the hero's journey, there's the descent into the underworld, the descent into the belly of the beast, right? In A New Hope, Luke has a descent into the underworld, right? When they go into the trash compactor, they all go down in there. And what happens when they come out? They see Obi-Wan duel with Vader. Obi-Wan dies. Luke literally has a descent, and then he's in a second descent, like he's depressed, right? Old Ben is gone. What am I to do now, right? Luke's descent into the abyss, into the underworld. He learns the truth about his father, right? He's got the intent that I'm going to kill Vader. I am going to kill Vader. He ruined my life. He killed he killed my daddy, right? And what happens? He learns the truth. And it's like, it breaks him, right? It breaks him. And he has a visual descent into the underworld. And what happens? His sister saves him, right? Of course, he doesn't know that's his sister then, but he reaches out through the Force. Leia, hear me, right? Because he falls, through the trash chute, and what's going to happen next is, he's hanging on to the little antenna, whatever that thing is. And it's like, if I let go I've only got one hand, right? My left hand, and I'm right-handed, right? I got a lightsaber burn. And apparently when you get a lightsaber burn, your nerves just go crazy, and it just burns continuously, right? It just keeps burning and burning and doesn't stop. And then on top of that, your nerves are freaking out, and you're in shock because you just got your hand cut off, right? You got a limb, you lost a limb, and you got the whole phantom limb thing going on now, right? And so his ascent, it's like, well, the only thing I could do now is to train, and I have to reconcile with my father, right? You have to do these things to get out of the underworld, right? So Luke's fall is not the same thematically as Mace Windu's, right? So, that's why I'm like, you can't compare them. Luke fell. Why did he survive? Mace Windu should have survived too. Tell me what Mace Windu's fall, how does that progress his character? Because if there's a progression, it would have happened. That was meant to be a death, right? At the time, because everybody is, what have you done for me lately? At the time when that movie came out, Mace Windu was like, yeah, I die, but I die like a G. That's what Samuel L. Jackson was saying back then, right? If you don't believe me, go back and look at, I don't know, because YouTube, I don't think YouTube was around back then. You know, people were looking at E-Bombs World. Maybe YouTube was around. It was 2005. I wasn't looking. I remember my friend Jones was talking about YouTube and Nuke School, and I was like, yeah, I don't know what that is. Last week you were telling me about people farting on E-Bombs World, right? I remember I started watching YouTube, and the only thing I knew that was on there was in 2006, and the only video I knew that was on YouTube was the one where the girl gets in the hot tub and she farts in the hot tub, and then she has fills the hot tub up with shit, right? She just shits all in the hot tub. Do it out in the hot tub. Take a shit in the hot tub, right? Only on this channel can you get somebody who drops a Outkast verse, a Jay-Z verse, from a collab with T.I., and then an impersonation of Eddie Murphy impersonating James Brown. That'll only happen here. I love Alex and Molly, but that ain't going. You definitely won't hear that on Star Wars Explained. And I love Alex and Molly. I broke bread with them down in ATL at a YouTube event. Got the picture to prove it. Molly's cool as hell in person. She got a little bit of soul in her, right? But you won't get that on their channel. I'm just being real, just keeping it real, right? No hate. Love the Damon family, but just keeping it real. You definitely won't get it on Mike Zero's channel. Or some of the other ones. I know somebody was like, why do you mention Mike Zero all the time? I don't even know who Mike Zero is. He's living rent free in your head. I'm like, okay, in 2021, we're going to cancel, since we're canceling things, we're going to cancel the phrase living rent free in your head, right? The only time I talk about Mike Zero ever, my wife doesn't even know what the fuck a Mike Zero is, right? She is that like some kind of Coke Zero that y'all have in America? You like Coke Zero? Is Mike Zero some kind of soda that's in America that's not in Thailand, right? She's tuning me out. She's like, I don't give a shit about Star Wars or any Star Wars nerds. I took her to see The Rise of Skywalker, and she didn't say anything through the whole movie. And then when it was over, she was like, all right, take me shopping, right? Mulan, somebody's last video was like, I really like your Star Wars takes, but you were an asshole over Mulan. I'm like, well, if I was such an asshole, you should have stopped talking to me, because that's what I do when somebody's being an asshole. I just put down my phone and keep going. I was probably stuck somewhere, and I'm like, okay, this person is like talking a lot of shit, so I'm just going to fuck with them because I'm stuck here, probably in a taxi going somewhere on a road trip, and I can't do anything else, because that's usually the only time usually I'll leave one comment and keep going. But if I'm stuck on a car trip somewhere, it's like, all right, the drivers are really bad here, and I'm afraid I might die, so I might as well be devilish before I reincarnate. Right? But we saw Mulan in the theater, and I really enjoyed it. Oh, I know what it was. It was all these people saying that Mulan turned Mulan into Rey, right? They put the Force into Mulan, and I'm like, if you believe that, you've obviously never watched a wuxia movie, right? I've always said, what is Star Wars? Why do people in Asia not really care for Star Wars? Because it's wuxia made for the West, right? I'm not doing what if videos, what if topics, because I think it's kind of stupid. That's just me, right? Don't get offended. I say it's just me, right? Some people don't like spicy food, right? We had our last dinner here in Pattaya, and I ate some seashells, and there was nothing in them but the seashell meat, mussel, whatever it is, and green chilies and garlic. That was it, right? I like had to order another bottle of water. Like I'm about to start sweating because I'm literally still feeling the heat from eating those things, right? And I know I'm gonna pay for it when I go to the bathroom tomorrow morning. What time is it? Well, it's already tomorrow. I need to end this soon and get it posted. But some people can't handle that. They can't handle the heat for health reasons, whatever. Don't like it, can't handle it for health reasons, or just don't want it or whatever, right? It's not their taste, right? So I don't even remember what my point was, because I keep thinking about it. Once I looked at the time, I was like, I need to end this and go to sleep, because we got to get up early and take these boxes down, load up the moving truck, and get on the road to Bangkok, and this place and this little ugly painting y'all keep asking me about, except for the one guy. Apparently that's in London, and one guy was like, I used to live like near there, around the block or 3 blocks away, something like that. So that's awesome for you. Everybody else is like, you need to put up movie posters and this and that, and I'm like, well, no, I don't, because we're moving literally in the morning, and when I get to the office studio set up, I might just hang a green screen behind me and go from there. Maybe it'll be some kind of backdrop again, like I used to have. Maybe it'll look like I'm sitting in the Millennium Falcon, like before when I was recording those videos in my well, no, some of them were in the dining room, but then I started doing that when I was recording in my studio in the attic too. So yeah, if I was standing up, they were in the attic. If you just saw from here up, they were those were in the dining room, because I have 2 studios in my house back in the US. Hell, the whole house might have been a studio. The whole house was a studio at some point, right? I was moving stuff around, and the Jedi meditation video that was recorded in my living room, because it got too hot to record in the attic, and I was moving everything in the living room and then setting it up and then taking it all down, putting it back in the attic. I got sick of that, and that's when I started recording in the dining room app, because after that I left, went to Phoenix, did the real life Jedi videos with Ash. They all bombed. When I posted them when I got back from my Phoenix / California trip. Got back, they all bombed. Then my channel just started bombing after I'd been blowing up for months. And then I dropped that Rey is the First Jedi video, and then things blew up. I signed with Maker Studios, didn't get paid from July to October. Man, that first year sucked. And then I got paid. Then the channel went to a deep slump, and I was like, well, I think I'm just gonna go get a job, a full-time job, and just do this thing for fun, and embrace the suck, and just say, okay, it's gonna take me a minute to grow, but I'll have a job that where I'm getting a steady pay. And then soon as I made that decision, then Rogue One, those videos blew up. And I was like, I should quit my job. And Geekdom was like, don't quit yet, because you don't know what could happen. And looking back, I should have quit. I should have gone back to just subbing, not quit, but I should have just kept subbing. That way I could say, oh, you know what? I'm not going to work today. I need to make a Star Wars video, because I was so tired and stressed out dealing with personal stuff that happened at the school, that I was like, oh, I don't feel like making a video today. I don't feel like making a video tomorrow. I did the Cowboys thing. I can turn it on. I can turn it off when I want to. Right. And I waited too long, and then it started getting harder and harder to get videos to blow up. And then later things were just inconsistent. And then The Last Jedi came out, and I was like, I'd rather just sit in my attic and meditate than make videos and that. Right. So now I just got to embrace the suck, make videos, see what happens, and just pile up enough content. You know, we met with Nick Nimmin in Chiang Mai last year. Nick Nimmin is a huge Star Wars fan. He's got a Din Djarin Mandalorian Halloween costume that he made. And he was like, bro, like, there's no real strategy for you. You know what you're doing on YouTube. You just got to make videos. That's, you know, other people, there's things they need to do. It's like, I've watched your channel. I've seen your videos before. You know, before you even said, hey, I'm coming to Thailand. Let's hang out, talk shop. It's like, you know, YouTube, you haven't been making videos. You just got to make videos and just, you know, keep pumping them out, and, you know, eventually YouTube will do what it does and find your audience, right? Not the audience. As I've said this, all Star Wars channels are not the same, right? It's just like, I'm doing a lot of work with Daryl Eves. Daryl has changed the way I think about YouTube, the way I look at YouTube. And you can look at Marvel, the MCU, right? You can go to think of, if you watch Marvel videos, you know, maybe you think of Emergency Awesome, Stupendous Wave has an MCU channel, and, you know, or even Star Wars even. You can list off 5, 6, 7 Star Wars channels that you watch, but they're not all the same. You think they are, but they're not. Well, maybe a bunch of them are, because they're just like, I just want to make Star Wars videos and whoever watches them. But I can tell you, my channel is not the same, right? You know, I pull it out right here, right? I'm going to show y'all the back end of something. Why I say some things the way I say them. Like, somebody got upset about me saying something about, you know, I don't really want to have a conversation with people under 30 about the prequels, right? I don't know if you guys can see this, right? Actually, you can't see it that clearly, right? But this is 25 to 34 is my largest demographic. Below that is 35 to 44. That's in the last 28 days. We'll look at this last week. Like 18 to 24 is like 14%. Young people, if you're under 25, you're not really watching me. Not really. I mean, that says 14%, but 45 to, it's more 20%, 45 to 54, right? So that would be people, you know, who might see me as a little brother, right? And I mean a close little brother, right? Because I'm 41 now. You know, 35 to 44, 30.5%, 25 to 34 is my largest demographic, right? That's that 25 to 34. That's my little brother. Like, yes, I have a real little brother. Not all these people calling themselves my little brother, but my biological brother, he's in that 25 to 34 range. Well, how old is he now? Let's see, I'm 41. He's 32, right? So that's what I'm saying, right? Like, so these like 45 to 35 to 44, that's my group, right? 45 to 54, those are probably my training partners, right? So we start talking about, I came with this approach. Urban Acolyte is like a martial arts school, right? It's a philosophy, it's a school, it's a gym, it's a dojo, it's whatever, right? Who are the people who are going to be showing up there? That's how I built my channel out. If you say I have no interest in that, then I haven't really built this with those people in mind, right? And people, oh man, why do you criticize your fans? I'm like, are you really a fan, right? Because maybe you think you are, right? But when I talk about a martial arts school, and I'm not talking about like a Taekwondo school, right? I'm not talking about the Koreans' business model where they're like, we're a Taekwondo, we're a martial arts daycare, right? You show up, you give us money, and we take your kid, and then we say, oh, well, we got an adult program too, so you can come, you can train right next to your kid. And a lot of Chinese schools, it was, you go and you gotta do the serving tea to master, right? I think it's the Baishur ceremony. I'm not saying I want y'all to serve tea to me, but there's this idea that you have to be accepted by the teacher too, right? And I'm not saying this to sound arrogant. This is literally, I had this conversation with my Ely Chin teacher, my first Ely Chin teacher. Now, Grandmaster Sam is my teacher as a distant student. He was like, I want all the distant students to be under me, right? But and everyone else is like a senior brother, right? But before, Sifu said that, I had another teacher. And we had a long talk about like business and everything else. And all this Urban Acolyte stuff came out of that business, that physical business, right? I had a gym. I don't know why people think, oh, well, he's a Star Wars guy, but he likes kettlebells and now he wants to train people. No, I started out on YouTube. Making fitness videos of my workouts that my clients were doing. I was like, oh yeah, I like this workout. Let me film it and put it on YouTube. Maybe somebody else will see it and try it too. And I was like friends with a big fitness. She was small then. Now she's like 500,000 subscribers, even though she hadn't posted a video in like 3 years. Her channel still grows, cause she's got evergreen content. We were actually supposed to do a collab, and then she ghosted me in Chicago, and I ended up meeting like my best friend Samiko because of that. So it's crazy how stuff happens. I got ghosted by a person I was a huge fan of on YouTube, and then she like gave me a bunch of big shout outs because I think she felt bad about ghosting me in Chicago, but it was all good. I met a lot of cool people because I stayed at the workshop where it was like, I'm gonna go to this workshop, this kettlebell workshop for one day, and then go do this YouTube thing. And looking back, I would not have gotten anything out of it because I sucked so bad on YouTube that any potential subscribers or followers I could have picked up, they just would have been like, your stuff sucks. I'm not following you. I wasn't really talking about anything. And Elliot Host pointed that out when I spoke with him on the phone after my grandmother died. But it's like I was doing fitness, and it's like, oh, one day why don't I try talking about Star Wars to these people who are listening to me talk about kettlebells and meditation? Like it's like some of y'all, I appreciate it. Like I was like, hey man, y'all need to check out this podcast, Live Life Aggressively with Mike Mahler and Sincere. And the folks who know, they're like, yo man, they talk about Prince all the time. Like literally, like if you want to hear me get clowned on, they clown on me. They probably have said, yeah, Prince went to Thailand, and I guess he got sick of chasing after ladyboys, so he got married to a real girl. That's a joke. My wife is older. She'll be like, what the fuck? That's a joke. They're joking. I don't think she's listening. But so they clown me hard. But when I first started, I remember Sincere was like, yeah, Prince was like, yeah, man, I got this Star Wars videos and they're blowing up, man. And, you guys inspired me to do it. And they kind of did. It was like, I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about trying to make a couple of Star Wars videos. And they were like, if you have something that you really think about, like, stop thinking about it, shut the fuck up and just go do it. And I was like, so, you guys kept saying you were thinking about doing a podcast. And I kept thinking about, nobody's watching me on YouTube anyway. Why not talk about The Force Awakens, right? I'm always alluding to Star Wars. I'm watching all these Star Wars channels and disagreeing with them and thinking, you know what, if I covered that, I would like go this direction with it. Why do I keep just having these random thoughts? And you just turn on the camera, go do it, put it out there, see what happens, right? So they talked about that. And I remember Sincere was like, yeah, man, one day, I remember watching Prince and he was like talking about Qigong and kettlebells and like martial arts. And then the next thing I know, he's dressed up like Mace Windu, and he's like a jet, and it's cool because he's like a Jedi teaching people about Star Wars. Now I don't have any Jedi robes. I know people are bring back the Jedi robes. The Jedi robes are somewhere at a Goodwill in Tennessee, or actually I took them there a year ago, so I don't know where they are now. I can probably get them cheaper since all this stuff came from China anyway. I could probably get them cheaper by not buying through Amazon like I was doing like a dum-dum. Right? I think I paid $50 or $100 for one of the sets of robes that I have, and I know how to get it direct from China now for like, well, I'm not going to tell y'all because I might decide to do some drop shipping. I'm not going to tell you how much I'm buying them for, but it's not $100. I tell you that. But I'm not going to, some of the stuff that I see is because I thought about like doing a lightsaber thing, and some of those lightsabers are up there. Some of them, yeah, I could undercut, some of these lightsaber salespeople. But some of them, it's like, yeah, I would love to sell that one, but I was like, even if I put like the price alone, I wouldn't make anything, because I've seen some that still go for $250, $300 that look nice, look cool. All right, but damn it, I done talked. This is another podcast episode. Now, I don't like to do these because they take a long time to render, right? I don't know why, but they just do. And then it like takes a long time to get them posted, and it's like already really late. We got to get up early, so I need to bring this home because it's going to take like 2 hours before I can even like upload it to YouTube, which sucks, but I don't know. It is what it is. But on the topic of the Mandalorian, the series, did it prove that Lucasfilm made a mistake? Is that what this article is about? Yeah. The Mandalorian proves the Star Wars movies made a pretty big mistake. They don't prove it, right? They don't prove it. They made a mistake, and that's the story, right? When has Star Wars ever retconned anything? They never. What they do is they build around. It's like getting a bad tattoo. Well, yes, you can get a tattoo replaced, but most people don't, right? They get ink over it. They ink over it, or they add something to it, right? To it's like, okay, well, I got this tattoo. I don't really like it, but I can get more ink added to it to make it, to improve it, right? This thing that, what's the Japanese thing? The Japanese thing that inspired Kylo Ren's helmet, where they'll break, some ceramic like dishes or something, and they use the gold to fill in the cracks, right? So it's like we had this thing and it broke, and now we're showing that it broke, but we're making it more beautiful. That's why I keep saying, man, like people, what do you mean Filoni is going to save the sequels? I've been told I'm either crazy by people who probably know less about Star Wars than I do, so, their opinion is actually irrelevant, or I had people say, oh, man, you're right, Prince, I can't wait for Filoni to come and retcon the sequel saga. And I'm like, that's not what I said at all. I said Dave is going to fix everything by this is where the story went wrong, or this is where the story was weak, and we're going to bring this up, right? I'm going to tell my story that runs parallel with this, same way he did with what was the show with I started to say Cal Kestis, and I can't even remember the character's name. I'm thinking of the actor because he follows me on Instagram, or I follow him and he follows back. He's playing Robin in that new like Gotham Knights game. What was his name? Sean Christopher. What was his character? Cass. Right. What was Cass Shiono? What was his show called? Right. But it gives you a different look about look at what's going on during, leading up to and during The Force Awakens, and in the period between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. And, you know, I kept saying, I was like, Kaz is going to show up in The Rise of Skywalker. Kaz is going to show up in The Rise of Skywalker, right? And he did, right? When they finally make it to connect with the rest of the Resistance fleet, and they show up there in the big, when all the ships show up, right? It's like, who are they? They're just people. Right, Kaz is there. Now, you know, could I point him out in The Rise of Skywalker? No, but it's in the novel, right? That Kaz like hails or something. Kaz says something. He has lines, right? He was there, right? I was like, he's gonna be part of The Rise of Skywalker. I'm telling y'all. What was that show called? Was it Star Wars Resistance? Is that the name of it? I didn't even watch like the second season because I was here. I bought them. I bought the episodes, but I still haven't sat down and watched all of them, and it sucks too because a lot of the cast, the voice actors, are very cool. The lady who voiced the Resistance lady, I don't know what happened with her character, but she's also she voices a lot of people. But she's half Thai and Filipino, so you know, we talk on Twitter. She likes a lot of my stuff. You know, she's happy that my wife is Thai. And then what was the admiral or the captain or whatever, the battle station? Like his turns out his wife is a pilot too, and her name is Nisa. So Nisa is part of Star Wars canon. Her nickname is Nisa. It's like my wife's nickname is Nisa. So that was cool. But it was interesting how Dave filled in. This is the story that's happening. People that are being affected by the First Order, right? The name Kylo Ren instills fear in people, right? With the children of the Zahar or whatever. I'm wondering if season 2 like told more of their story, because I thought maybe they might be Force sensitive. I don't know, because I didn't watch season 2 yet, right? That show, you know, people didn't like it. They didn't like the art, the art or whatever. It wasn't long enough, but it did what it was supposed to do, right? I can't talk much on it because, like I said, I didn't watch the second season. But look at the Clone Wars. The Clone Wars changed the way the prequels are. Right now, people, you know, enjoy the prequels. They don't feel so bad about the prequels. And when you go in and you look at Revenge of the Sith after having seen season 7 of the Clone Wars, it's like, man, Ahsoka was trying to get in touch with Anakin this whole time. What would have happened if Ahsoka had been able to talk to Anakin, you know, before he rushed off to go, you know, see Mace deal with Palpatine? How much different would it have been if Mace Windu had let Ahsoka in on what was going on? They're going to go arrest the Chancellor. If, you know, Mace Windu, Anakin, with this, you know, if this is true, you have gained my trust. Oh yeah, you need to call Ahsoka, right? Ahsoka want to talk to you, dog. Right? What if, you know, now we think about that, right? And why is that? Because of Filoni, because of Dave. So if you don't believe that it wasn't a mistake, right? They could have done things differently, but they didn't. And this is why I don't like to, this is why I'm not going to dump on the sequel saga. And if you don't like it, then stop watching me, right? Go watch somebody who will, because you can't dump on anything that you did in your past either. We all made mistakes and we're like, oh man, I wish I had done that differently. Right? I can think of some things right now. Oh man, I wish I had done that. But you are where you are as a result of that decision that you made. If you were to go back and change anything, who knows what the outcome could be, right? I remember I was thinking about this earlier today. We were coming back from getting tape and boxes and stuff to pack everything up. And I was thinking about this conversation I had with my granddad when he fought in the Korean War, and he was like, he was trying to sugarcoat the story, but I'm like, dog, come on, granddad, I'm a veteran too. I've been to Asia. I know what you're really trying to say, right? But he was telling me about how Japan was after World War II in the 50s, and, what girls from the countryside were doing in the city. He's trying, they were just some young ladies from the country, just trying to help their family out. And I'm like, come on, dog. I know what the deal is. I know, dog. Come on now. Right, but he's sugarcoating it, and he's like, and then I met this girl. She took me out to meet her family, and then, I was like, well, I gotta go to Korea because we're here to fight, and she was like, we'll come back when you're done. I hope everything goes fine, and then when you come back and when your time is when you come back, come and see me, and I'll bring you back to the farm and this and that. And he's like, they really wanted me to, she was a nice young lady. I really thought hard about, just staying there, but I didn't. And it's like, I was thinking how would his life have turned out if he did do that? And then I was like, well, he wouldn't have met my grandma. My grandma probably would have gone back and finished medical school, because she was married previously. She had a daughter, my aunt, who's autistic. So she had an autistic child. Her husband died through unknown causes, but he was an abusive son of a bitch and a Baptist minister. And that's why my grandma never really wanted me to go into ministry and become a Christian minister, because, her husband was a big Baptist minister, and everybody, oh, you're so lucky to have him. And, she played the piano and he preached, and they were, ideal couple. But she was smart. She had a degree in chemistry, and, I didn't know that he was abusive or anything like that till somebody told me after my grandma's funeral. People die, and then you start to get the truth about their lives. But she just used to tell me, and it was I think I was an adult before she even told me that she was married. Like, my aunt every now and then would say things, but she was autistic, and, I was kind of a shithead to her when I was a kid. And, I didn't, just a kid being a kid. She was just my aunt. I knew she was special, but not special, if that makes sense. She was just my aunt who was different, right? Even though I knew that she was different, but it was I'm still going to be a kid and be a shithead and, pick at her about stuff that, I kind of regret now being an adult, but I can't take that back, right? That's like I said, you look at things you did in the past, you can't take them back. You can't, you just have to do better, right? You have to stay present and just do better in the present moment, right? You can't go back and change those things. But, my grandma used to say, when she finally told me, she was like, yeah, my husband died. They didn't know what happened, and I'm a chemist. And then she just used to kind of give me this sly grin, did you poison him? I used to always wonder, I was like, did you poison him? Because sometimes she say, there you can give people stuff and they can't trace it, and nobody, and it's just like nobody will know what happened to them, or they'll think it was something else. You know, they'll say, oh, this is what did it, and it was really, you know, something that you gave them that caused something else to happen, and they, you know, and then it gets out of their system and nobody knows anything, right? I'm pretty sure the science of forensics is much better now than it was in the 50s or the 40s. What was IT born? 49. That would have been in the 50s. Yeah. But you know, it was like, well, maybe my grandma would have gone back and finished medical school, and she would have been a single mom and a doctor. Somehow she had her medical school paid for, but she caught pneumonia her first time through, and that's why she ended up not dropping out, not finishing. She caught pneumonia really bad her second year of medical school at Meharry. And so, you know, my grandma might have gone on to been a doctor, and who knows how things would have turned out. I think she was dating a doctor. She was working as a lab assistant. She was dating a med school guy when she met my grandfather, because he beat that guy in tennis. My granddad was like super athlete, bowled a perfect 300 game twice, hit a hole in one when he turned. That was in 2014. How old was he then? He was in his 80s. He hit a hole in one. I said bowled 2 perfect 300 games. He played football, coached softball. I remember he kicked my ass in basketball. My best friend and I, we played in Nashville. We played 36. We played 21. We played 36. It's straight. You hit, you get your chain, you get the ball back till you miss. You get guard. We play defense on you. When it's none of that. Okay, you scored and you go shoot free throws or shoot from the top of the key. No, we keep going. We keep going. That's why I was a scorer when I was a late bloomer at basketball. But when my body finally caught up with everything else, I got buckets. I might be the smallest thing out there. I was gonna wear your ass out. That, and when I stopped trying to be a point guard and realized, you know, I can shoot. And I've got confidence in my jump shot, and all those years I wasted trying to be a point guard. Oh, I would shake you too, but really I'm a small 2, right? Who could jump. So, you know, we get buckets, right? But my granddad came out and whooped our asses in 36 when I think I was in the 10th or 11th grade. And he's like in his 70s, and he's like sky hooking from everywhere. And we're like, I'm like, where does my granddad get this from? Right? I remember he beat my stepbrother and myself in a foot race. My stepbrother was the same age as me. We were running through the airport, and then we were running, and then he just took off and left us. He'd been in his 50s or 60s then. I don't remember how old I was. I think I was like 8 or 9. But I was a fast kid. I was always the fastest kid in my class, and you know, like I'm not shitting you. Like at 9 years old, I could beat some grown-ups running. Of course, they were slow. You know, I'm not, you know, grown man, fully developed. I shouldn't have been able to beat. Any of those dudes, I mean, because I was 9 and they were grown. They're like senior citizens now. You suck. If I beat you at 9 years old, you suck. You're slow as fuck, right? But I, you know, I could burn some people still. My granddad took off and left us. So he was a super athlete, right? But all that being said, you know, he beat this guy at tennis, and then, you know, and my granddad was Mr. Take Your Girl. I'm not going to keep going with that one because that'll get into some dark family secrets. But you know, I was thinking about all it just, and it wasn't long. It was just kind of the blink of an eye. Like that's kind of how my brain works. Like I can look at something and see like an entire lifetime of stuff. Usually when I'm not saying I'm bipolar, but I'm having sort of a manic episode, and I'll like look at a situation and I'll see like completely how it'll play out if I carry that train of thought all the way out. I won't call it a manic thing, but it's, you know, it's kind of a product of teaching myself lucid dreaming on top of doing meditative practices to like teach yourself lucid dreaming. I could do it before then. I think I talked about this in a video on my other channel, or maybe that video doesn't exist anymore. But I remember having a video on lucid dreaming and like how I used to have nightmares when I was a little kid, and I didn't know anything about lucid dreaming, but I taught myself to like control a nightmare. Like I would find something that let me, and it's like, that's not real. I'm okay. You're having a nightmare. And then I'd like get rid of the bad guy or the scary situation. I would change the dream, which is what lucid dreaming is, right? So sometimes I'll like get to the point where I do that and it's like I don't really need to do it. It's like letting the monkey mind run wild. So it's not a good thing. And I just like look at a problem and like start seeing all these different possibilities and, you know, literally like having a lifetime in the blink of an eye. So I was like thinking about, you know, what if my granddad had not come back? Like, what if he was like, you know what, my enlistment is up, because back then it was 2-year enlistments, and stay here in Japan, right? And I was like, I think that story might be why I'm here in Thailand now, because he just kept talking. What if he was like, I really thought long and hard about, you know, just going home to see mother and father, and then hopping back on a plane and going back to Japan. You know, she was a really lovely young lady, and they had a nice farm. They, you know, their family accepted me. You know, I was really surprised by that. And, you know, and it was like, if he had done that, my mom wouldn't have been born. I wouldn't be here. Things could be completely different. Who knows what would happen, right? But you can't, you know, so woulda, coulda, shoulda, but didn't. That's not what happened, right? And it's not healthy to do that, right? I just took y'all on this long thing, looking at the history of my family, how things would have been different, but that's not what happened. And it's not healthy. It's not healthy. Right. That's why I said it's not good when I like look at these hypothetical situations and let them play out. Right. I have to snap myself out of that. That's one of the negative things that can happen to you from doing yoga practices, meditation practices, where you're concentrating on the wrong things. You're not just, okay, that's a thought, and just letting it go, observing it and letting it go. You observe it and you keep observing it and you keep observing it and you keep observing it. And if you see what I'm doing with my face, that's literally what people start to do, is they start to tense up and they start to hold on to tension, right? And then that practice becomes a practice of holding tension. Not helpful. That's exactly what people do when they start dumping on the sequel saga, dumping all these are the mistakes that they made, that Lucasfilm made, and it's like, well, what are you gonna do? That's why it's like, look, if you want to improve Star Wars, like Geekdom was saying, look, man, not everybody in the fandom menace is bad. They just want better Star Wars. And I'm like, well, if they want better Star Wars, then why don't they present a project to Lucasfilm? Why don't? Because I remember. What's the Holocron Keeper, Leland Shee and Pablo Hidalgo, they kind of explain, this is what the story group does. We're not protectors of canon, right? You pitch us a project and then we try to figure out, this is how this works with the timeline that we have created and the plans that we already have that maybe you guys don't know, right? Just like people try to compare Ahsoka Tano dying and coming back with why can't they do what Mace Windu? And I said, that's not the same, because again, there was a plan, right? Just like Dave Filoni, when he pitched Kanan Jarrus, the character, or Freddie Prinze Jr. in season 1, they already knew what was going to happen to Kanan Jarrus. He was going to go blind and he was going to die saving Hera and Ezra, right? They knew that in season 1. We didn't see it till season 4. So with Ahsoka Tano, the character, maybe Ashley Eckstein really was in the dark about what was going to happen with Ahsoka, but Dave Filoni already knew that she was coming back. He made the little artwork panels, he was like, this is Ahsoka's journey through the netherworld. And he literally was showing her journey through the netherworld. And it was a portal. It was seeing Ahsoka through the portal of the world between worlds. That was her. And we're thinking the netherworld, the afterlife, but what is the world between worlds? It's like the netherworld of the Force, right? It's a place outside of time and space that connects everything together through the Force based on the experiences and the point of view of the person who was there traversing the world between worlds. So what we saw from Ezra's point of view, being a person from Lothal, entering that portal through Lothal, if Palpatine had gone there, it would have looked different. He would have experienced it differently. We as the audience would have seen it differently. If it had just been Ahsoka, she would have experienced it different. So what we saw, the world between worlds, is the way it was as it pertained to Ezra and what he was dealing, and him saving Ahsoka, and then having to deal with Palpatine learning, oh, this Bridger kid can give me access to there so that I can do whatever it is that I'm trying to accomplish, right? With my goals. And luckily that didn't happen. Ezra took himself off the map, and he was the key, right? Because apparently you needed to be a force sensitive person from Lothal to open the portal, in the Jedi temple on Lothal, right? Or temples, because I'm under the assumption there was more than one. So the Jedi had history there, or maybe an order that predated the Jedi. Something to think about. But my point is, Dave Filoni had this stuff planned out. And the only thing we can look at is that, and then we can say that makes The Mandalorian better than the sequel saga, is that Filoni and Favreau had this planned out. They came in with a plan. And part of that is because there was no plan for the sequel sagas. All right, we're bringing Star Wars back. What do? George Lucas had a plan, an idea, but he had lots of ideas. And, we want the George Lucas cut. There is no George Lucas cut. George Lucas said, I'm old, I'm tired, I got a young daughter. It would take me 10 years worth of work to do this, and I'm not missing 10 years. I'm old, right? I think it was 69. I'll be 80 by the time it's finished, and my daughter will be 11 years old. Time is not on my side, right? And there's one thing that nobody has enough of, and it's time, right? Whether you live to be 9 or 90. I remember my grandma when the doctor came in and told me that told us that she had less than 6 months left. And she looked at me and she said, I would give everything I have to be able to get up out of this bed and walk away, just to walk. Cause she got to the point where she couldn't walk, right? She couldn't do anything by herself. That's the one thing nobody has enough of. Right? There's a story. I want to say it was a Buddhist monk, but it could have been a holy man. And then he was either Buddhist or like some kind of like Hindu yogi or something. Or he might have been a Taoist master. I don't know. But it was somebody who we think of has attained this high level of awareness, and, they broke in the cycle of reincarnation, everything else. And he's on his deathbed and he starts crying, and his students are like, Master, what's wrong? And he was like, I want to live. And they're like, but Master, like you're enlightened, and you're this, and you told us that you don't fear death and this and that, and you welcome it. And he's like, all of that's true, but I still want to live. Right? I still want to see tomorrow. I want to be here. Right? But on the topic of time, I've taken up enough of you guys. My wife is passed out, and when she's waking me up to move all of these boxes that y'all can't see downstairs and put them on a moving truck, I'm going to wish I had more time to sleep. So I'm going to wrap this up with that one. But the big takeaway is, don't look back. there's no point in looking back on the sequel saga and I wish this, they should have done this, they should have done darn right, they made a huge mistake. It's not healthy. You can't change it, right? So what's the point? You cannot change it. Do you hate the sequel saga? Well, guess what? You can't change it. And hate is a strong feeling. So you need to get that hate out your heart, man. Right? I'm not going, oh, fear leads to anger. Anger leads, hey, man, all of that might be true. But if you're going to be angry about something, be angry about something that matters. You can't change this. All you can do is appreciate that we're going to get more Star Wars. And on top of that, the sequel saga paid for The Mandalorian to happen. All these Disney Plus shows, the sequel saga paid for that, right? What they make, like, they did 4 movies and made what, like $5 billion? Where do you think the money's coming from for The Mandalorian? All this new tech that they're doing, you know, they're basically creating like these video game sound stages, especially with COVID going around, where, you know, they don't have to literally be on location to film stuff. It's like, all right, we got some trees around here that can, you know, that we can shoot around, but we're going to set up this huge LCD screen, and when you turn, it's turning too, but all of this is created inside a video game, right? And we might do a few on location shots somewhere, but we're not doing a lot because we got this crazy technology where even like the few CGI characters we have, we can have it where you think you're interacting with them, right? And we can quickly, you know, render these characters, you know, in a 3D space. When we go back and, you know, and look at the dailies, you know, we're not looking at some dude in a green costume. We're like really seeing, you know, IG-11 or IG-88 or whatever the droid was from, you know, season 1. We can literally look at this and start to render this stuff out almost close to how the people at home are going to be watching it, you know. So whether you love it or hate it, the sequel saga, the success that it was, you know, as far as money it made, with the exception of Solo. I said it was 5 movies. 5 movies made about $5 billion, right? At the end of the day, Solo didn't. It would have been a great Disney Plus show, though. Make Solo 2 happen, hashtag that, right? Would have been great on Disney Plus. People would have watched it. More people would have watched it. They would have loved it, right? It wouldn't have been all this boycott Solo mess. That I still don't believe that the Star Wars boycott impacted the numbers, because there were people who never heard of the Fandom Menace or any of this stuff, and they just didn't go see the movie because it wasn't marketed well. And you had Avengers, Infinity Wars, and Deadpool, everything else coming out around the same time, right? And Bob Iger was like, yo, man, that was my call. I messed up. There should have been a Star Wars movie in December. From now on, Star Wars is going to be a December thing, because, and you know, and whoever wants to compete with it, they will. But we put people in the state of mind that Star Wars happens in December, and that's what we should have done. Especially it went to a planet that had ice, so you know it had a December feel to it. Oh, look, first planet we're going to is full of snow. Most places where Star Wars is popular get cold in the winter. It doesn't get cold in the winter in Thailand because there's no winter here, and Star Wars ain't popular. Figure that, right? Because they have plenty of movies in Asia where, you know, you got monks who have spiritual powers and can fly through the air and fight with swords, and you know, you have evil and everything else, because I mean, like I said, Star Wars is space age sci-fi fantasy that employs a lot of Asian motifs. And it's like, well, you know, we could just make a Sun Wukong movie and give him a lightsaber staff, and it would be better than everything Star Wars has, right? Donnie Yen played Sun Wukong. That's the Monkey King. And he flew through the air and did better stuff than he did as Chirrut Imwe. And you can watch an hour and a half movie of him doing that versus the one or two cool things he did in Rogue One, right? So, it's like, why watch Star Wars, pretend to be a wuxia story when you can just go watch one? Right? League of Gods did more dope stuff in that crazy CGI wire foo fest movie than anything the sequel saga movies did. Go check it out. If you like Dragon Ball, I highly suggest you check it out. Why? Because that movie introduced me to Naja's character. I didn't know anything about Naja before then. Why do I say that? If you like Dragon Ball, I believe that Naja, that character, inspired Vegeta. Naja was born a prince. That's what my wife was telling me. She could tell you guys better than me, but she don't want to do YouTube. I keep telling her, if we had a Dragon Ball channel where we talk about like Shiuji, which is Journey to the West, which is what Dragon Ball is based on, and continues to borrow stuff from. And the more I learn about Journey to the West, it's like the more the more it changes the way I look at Dragon Ball. And I know Geekdom Danny is deep into Dragon Ball. I know he's aware of that, and he's read Derek Padula's books that really point that stuff out. I've started reading Derek's books, and I'm gonna, before I jump on my Dragon Ball content on the other Urban Acolyte channel that I'm gonna jump on more once we get moved and settled. So in 2021, look for that. I want to get through Derek's books, but then having somebody who grew up, in Asia in kind of a Chinese influenced upbringing, and my wife is part Chinese, part Chinese Malaysian. Our father's Chinese Malaysian, and then I think there's some Chinese on her mother's side too. But Thailand is like Indian, like Hindu influence, Buddhist influence, and then a lot of like cultural Chinese Confucian values, right? It's like India, Buddhism came in from Cambodia, where, the dynasties that were in Angkor Wat were huge. I'm like totally getting into stuff I really need to be talking about on my other channel, especially if we get to go to Angkor Wat, which I really want to do. Is may have a vlog and talk all about Angkor Wat, go there, show the temples there. Allegedly there were like black Buddhist kings who were part of the dynasties, but they spread Buddhism all throughout like South Asia, because previously it was like Mahayana Buddhism, which is Zen. We know it as Zen. It's actually Chaan Buddhism. Started Shaolin Temple, Bodhidharma or Dhammo, right? Who came over, prince / monk who came over from India and, went to Shaolin. Buddhism was already there, but Mahayana Buddhism came out of that. So this was like, everything was Mahayana Buddhism, and then Theravada Buddhism was a result of the kings at Angkor Wat, Cambodians, spread that across Thailand, Myanmar, Burma, down into Malaysia. Of course, Malaysia's got a huge Hindu. Malaysia's weird. Not weird, but interesting, because my Sifu comes from Malaysia as well. Of course, he's from a nomadic Chinese clan. So, and we've got, I've got so many. When we get moved, I got And I get my office set up. Hopefully I get a new desk and not this little tiny desk that I've been working out of. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, we visited, I think we went to a Taoist temple. I know my Sifu's father was Taoist, and we were in Kuala Lumpur where Sifu's from, right? So, yeah, we visited a Taoist temple, Chinese Taoist temple. We went to the Batu Caves, just a big, huge Hindu temple. It's like this huge mountain cave thing. And then we went somewhere else too. I think I want to say we went to a Buddhist site, but I can't remember. That was a year ago. And I still haven't gone through all the video footage from there. And I've shown some of that in some of the videos on this channel. I think it's just us walking. We walked to the big mall, and I didn't tell my wife that there was like that mall like goes underground. Like cause we went downstairs. It's like here malls are huge. Malls in Asia are huge. I don't know about the Mall of America. I've never been there, but all those Mills malls where you walk in a huge circle. Think of a Mills mall, but then it's like got levels to it, and it might be like 5 levels up. That's kind of how that mall was in Kuala Lumpur, but then it goes like underground because it goes under the street, and you come up and there's like another mall that's part of that same mall on the other side across the street. And I didn't tell her about that, so we didn't go across the street, or we would have been there all day. We were there most of the day anyway, and we walked there too, so your boy's feet were tired. But I'd be like, we gotta go back to Malaysia, go to the other mall. Hey y'all, I think I'm just gonna have to upload this video raw. Like, I'm not even gonna clean up the audio. Maybe I will, I don't know. I'm gonna see how the audio sounds, cause the way I record these, there's like 2 audio channels. There's like the one that's got the video, then I have like a separate audio track, and I clean that one up, and then I sync that with this one, and cause this is 2 hours, man. I'm just really totally going off the dome with y'all, talking about life. That's I knew I was going in that direction though, and I saw this, but I wanted it to be like maybe 45 minutes and not 2 hours now. Yo, man, it's 1 a.m., y'all. I gotta get off this thing, go to bed, because I gotta get up in 4 hours and get all the stuff moved downstairs and onto the loading truck. And not tomorrow, later today is gonna suck. So y'all, I don't know what I'm gonna do as far as video wise until we get the internet set up. I know Nisa keeps talking about as soon as we get there, the lady who owns the house, or the property manager or whoever, I don't know, they're like supposed to be there to meet us because they got to give us the keys, and then help us as far as getting our Wi-Fi box, or maybe we're keeping the Wi-Fi box we have, or the router / modem. I don't know anything. Maybe it just happens fast. I'm surprised that like we might end up with faster internet because we'll be in Bangkok. There's a lot of like fiber internet is in a lot of places. I'm amazed, like, you know, people like, oh, Thailand's a 3rd world country. I'm like, it's actually, you know, you talk about that, you're talking about like the rural areas where families can live off $100 a month. But, you know, when you start talking about the places where you're probably, if you talk about the places where expats tend to be, it's like, you know, there's money to be made, and there's a need, and people are very entrepreneurial here, you know. And my wife she got a new business idea every other day. You know, it's like, man, I'm glad to see you kicking out the Star Wars content again. I'm like, well, You know, Star Wars content doesn't make big money, but it has in the past if I keep making videos, and I would like to see those big checks so that I can invest in some big dreams. Actually, they're not like super big, but I think she wants to own a market. Like there's a lot of, think of like the farmers markets. That's like a common thing here. If you watch like Chocolate, I think is the name of the movie, Chocolate with Gigi Yanin. It used to be on Netflix. And she's like an autistic girl and she likes chocolate and she can fight really, really well. But there's like this scene, it looks like she's fighting these guys at the fish market. But that's not a fit. That's like an actual market. There are people to sell fish there. But if you go, because it's at night, and if you're selling fish, then you got knives, and she's fighting guys with knives. But there's lots of markets like that, and they have the little booths and stalls and stuff, and people sell fruit, have vegetables. Some people make snacks, they sell them there. You know, you might have, somebody's got a curry rice stand. But she wants to own one of those because guess what? Everybody that's got a stand there has to pay rent. So she's like, yeah, I want to own a market because then I'm like the big boss of the market and everybody has to pay me rent. And I think you get a cut out of what they sell too. I don't know. I have to ask. She's a hustler though. So, I know, I'm sorry, y'all, if I get back to doing a million views a month, something like that, and and I start doing 6 figures, I'm sorry that I'm not gonna, oh man, he's such a nice guy, he's gonna forgo buying a house to make us a Vader fan film. Sorry, I'm not doing that. I'm gonna invest it in a market, maybe a rental property. Maybe I'll take some money, finish my degree, finish my master's so that I can make more, so I can have more intelligent conversations. That's actually something I'd love to do is, I want to do another MDiv program, but I want to do a Buddhist MDiv program and have like, really what I'm trying to do on my other channel is, have a channel where it's really like teaching the Dharma. There's a lady I've been watching who actually she's been a Zen Buddhist teacher for 20 years, I think, at least 20, maybe more than 20. His channel is called Scratchpad. She reminds me of a relative of mine. And it's a small channel, like she gets maybe 50 views, and those 50 views on some of those videos are probably coming from people like me who've watched the videos more than once. But there's 2 things I would like. I would like to be able to buy her YouTube coaching if she would be inclined to that. I don't think she really, because it looks like she started her channel during the pandemic, because wherever she was working as a teacher, you're probably like, stay home, is safe. And I imagine she was like, well, I got this free time, I might as well get on YouTube, make some videos, and talk about Black Buddhism and the Dharma. She's been a really good help for me, especially with helping me figure out what I want to do with my vlog. But I would love to like get her coaching with Daryl Eves, because I'm like, stuff like this is important. This needs to be the kind of stuff that people watch, not this, but what she's doing. People like her need to be seen. They have a real message, not some dude in his basement making 5 videos a day about Star Wars, and they're making everything up and none of it's ever going to happen, right? This tabloid magazine crap that is in all these geek culture channels, right? Nobody covering Star Wars, including me, is doing anything more important than what she's doing, right? No one, none of them. Unless there's somebody out here that's like talking to you about Star Wars and then turn it into a Dharma lesson. If there's somebody out there doing that, please let me know, because I want to watch them, right? I can't be the only one doing this. And honestly, I don't feel like I'm doing a good job doing it, because being here in Thailand, I said this on my personal Facebook page. It's like, I don't feel like I know as much about Buddhism as I thought I did. I thought I knew a lot. Well, I thought I knew something, but now it's like, man, I don't know anything. I'm just getting started. I'm not even a Padawan. I'm a youngling, right? My meditation practice was not as deep as I thought it was. Yeah, I never thought it. I always felt like I was, it's like I just want to have a consistent practice, but it's not even that now. It hadn't been for a while. It's like you can turn anything into meditation, which I feel like I have, but it's sometimes you can't avoid. You gotta spend time on the pillow, spend time with yourself, and do the hard work, right? Mindfulness is easy. Mindfulness has become a popular thing. I can always be mindful. Oh, how do I feel about this? So a lot of people think they're being mindful. They're actually being reflective. That's what's easy, right? Finding central and maintaining that is hard. That's hard. You can do all the Dr. Phil, Dr. Oz mindfulness practices you want, but that ain't it. That's just some pop stuff that's gonna make you feel good. You can't always feel good. You won't always feel good, right? It's like Yoda. I think Yoda said it to Ezra, like, it's like, yeah, sometimes I am afraid, and that's okay, right? It's natural. But anyway, y'all, I said something about time, and I'm going to give you y'all's, and then I kept talking. It's time to go. This is it for this place. Through all the struggles I had trying to make videos, and had setbacks on my little Spider-Man training project, getting my certification with GMB, and doing all kinds of what I was supposed to have been doing, muscle ups by now, and handstands, walking on my hands, and starting to learn backflips and being able to do some cool Jedi type stuff. And then I hurt my back, hurt my knees, hurt my back, hurt my elbows, hurt my shoulders, hurt everything but my ankles. I should be knocking on wood, but this isn't real wood. It was close enough. It was made from pulp, I imagine. Bed frame is wood. I knock on that before I go to sleep. Many setbacks, but it is what it is. What is the big lesson from this article? You can't look back on the past and have regrets. You can't change anything. You can only be present and make decisions, better decisions based on what happened in the past, what you learned, right? And that's really a Buddhist thing, right? That was one of the first things I learned about Buddhism in high school, reading Hermann Hesse's Siddhartha, right? Is that there just is, right? You make a decision, the morality is different. You make a decision, it's not a good or bad decision. It's just a decision, right? And it's the outcome that decides, was it a sin? Was it this? Was it that? Right? It's the outcome. Was the sequel saga a mistake? No, because it got us the Mandalorian. It'll get us better Star Wars, we hope. We'll have to wait and see. Right? What is this Kevin Feige thing? What is this Taika Waititi thing? Are they going to happen? I guess we'll know come Thursday, or probably Friday for me, because I'm basically a day ahead of you guys. Right? We're supposed to, if you don't know what that's about, that's the Disney Lucasfilm Disney earnings call with the investors, and they're supposed to announce the upcoming plans for the DCEU, the MCU, Lucasfilm, what Star Wars things are happening, and then what Disney things are happening. So what is that? December 9th or the 10th? Oh shit, it's today. But I probably won't find out till Friday. It's supposed to be today, right? Thursday, it's already Thursday for me. Hopefully it won't be Thursday when this video finally gets posted for y'all. But you know what I mean? Like that's whatever the outcome of that is going to be, because in the way that they go about doing those projects will be as a result of the sequel saga, right? So was it a mistake? No. People, you know, there was a reaction, a response. Some people really loved it. Some people really hated it. Some people liked parts and didn't like other parts, and that it is what it is. Don't get caught so much on what you like, what you don't like, and what you don't know. Because a lot of times people don't know why they like or don't like things. I keep saying that and people keep pushing back. But it's like, well, why do you not like this? Well, why do you not like it? Well, have you really investigated? Yes, I have. Really? Why? And more times than not, it comes down to, I had this certain expectation and this expectation was not met. And then it's, well, then the problem is you. You have this expectation. They didn't meet the expectation. Did you sit down and talk with J.J. Abrams and say, I need this, and this to be in these movies? No, you didn't. Did you meet with Rian Johnson and voice your expectations? No. Star Wars is not Burger King. You don't walk in and say, I want a double Whopper with cheese. I want one pickle, hold the mayo, and I don't want ketchup. I want barbecue sauce, right? And if they mess up your order, then you got a reason to complain, right? You put ketchup on this. You put 2 pickles. I specifically said I only wanted 1. Matter of fact, here's my receipt where you put everything on here that I said, but the people in the back, they didn't make it the way they didn't follow the directions as I said that you put in the computer and it printed out. They didn't do that. So we got a problem, right? You give me a free sandwich. You can make me a new one. You do whatever. You better not spit in my food, right? I'm one of them people. I don't complain about food. Part of that is the old military thing. Like I was so happy to have people make me food, you know, like when you're in boot camp, you get chewed out by your RDCs if they're dicks like mine were. And I totally respect my RDCs now, but going through it, like going in the military, that's like the realest hazing experience you can get. And if you die, nobody's really going to get punished for it unless they like really, really did something bad. But a lot of times no snitching, like no one is really, there's really a no snitching policy there, right? If you die, oh well, you know. Hopefully you already filled out that paperwork so your family gets that $250K. But you know, we would go to the galley, and the food service people would be, and it'd be all women, right? And you live with 70 guys and everybody stinks, and you know, and then you're getting chewed out by guys, and then the women who are RDCs are like even worse. Right. And you like so hard up from, you know, being with all these dudes. It's like the women RDCs are like the hottest women you've ever seen in your life. Some of them actually were, but we won't talk about that. Ooh, I just thought about one too. But, you know, you go in and these women are serving you food and, oh baby, oh honey, you want some more? And you know you can't have more because, you know, until you get to the end, then it's like heaven. Once you get through battle stations and you get that special breakfast, some of y'all Navy vets, you know, I don't know how it is now, but back when I went through, you know, y'all know what I mean. When you go get that battle stations breakfast and you can go back and eat as much as you want. And instead of having 15 minutes to eat, you get like a whole hour to like, and you can go get sweets too. And, you know, like I said, you can eat as much as you want and they're all nice to you. Like, man. All right. So, why did I start talking about this? I need to shut up and take my ass to bed. I ain't talking about shit at this point. Just procrastinating, fighting sleep, even though not long ago, I know what it was. Before we went to eat, I took a nap and now I'm wide awake now. If we hadn't gone out to eat, I would have gone to bed at like 8 o'clock. Now that's what it is. I took that nap and it re-energized me, especially after eating. I don't remember. I like completely lost my train of thought because my brain was like, shut up and go to bed, man. You need to go to bed. You need to cut off the lights. Nisa's already out cold. You go to bed. So I would watch the replay of this and pick up on that train of thought, but I'm not, man. It's time for me to shut up and go to bed. This is like truly off the dome. And now you guys know why my videos had been scripted when I started out. Because I was like, if I turn the camera on and start talking, I'm just going to keep talking. So yeah, I'm going to listen to how the regular audio sounds. And if the sound is not really that great, that's why. It's because I just posted a video of just without me doing anything to improve the audio. Because I really need to get this posted and call it a night. So thanks for hanging out, y'all. This is kind of a goodbye to this place. I think that's where I was going with this, as I was talking about, you know, things that I couldn't change and messed up. I said the military was a big hazing thing. I still don't remember what my point was. I really don't. That's why I got to start making notes. When we get to Bangkok, even though I do these off the dome, I still need an outline to keep me from getting too carried away. But anyway, y'all, hope y'all enjoyed this one. I'm not doing another video this long. It's too hard to like get them posted, edited and posted, right? Like, this might not get posted till tomorrow morning just because of how long it's going to take and I'm going to fall asleep, but we'll see. If y'all are watching on YouTube, then I figured out a way, even if, I hit upload before I unplugged my, computer and got on the truck to Bangkok. We'll figure out a way. But that's all I got for this one. So thanks for watching. Y'all keep on breathing and may the force of others be with you always.